Jill, welcome back to the podcast after a week's absence.
Thank you.
I had to go solo last week.
Do I have to have a doctor's note?
You might. Are we practicing social distancing right now? We're 3.5 feet
I say
apart.
this is not 6 feet away.
Yeah, we're roommates anyways. It's all right.
I'll say you sleep next to me.
So the world's going crazy, and some of it might be rightfully justified. Indiana just got quote unquote put on lockdown today, like a lot of the other states. And I thought it was a good time. We've been wanting to do a podcast about social media and technology, the pros and cons. And I think right now we're seeing a lot of both.
For sure.
Of social media technology right now. And we'll try to focus more on the positive, but I'm sure there's a few things we'll have to bring up. It's been nice because, like I said, a lot of people are kind of in quarantine. A lot of people aren't leaving their homes. Or if they are, it's just the store. No one's getting together in groups and socializing. But because we are blessed with so much technology now, we can really stay in touch with our friends.
And family.
And, your church groups or, I'm sure a lot of people got together every couple of weeks and play cards, whatever it might be. Through Facebook Live, there's a lot of different applications. I think one of the ones I just learned about was called Zoom, and we use it with our adult home church group. Just this past weekend, you were out running. Jill's running 9 miles.
I was running,
and you got 9 miles in for a half marathon that was postponed, but
we're still doing it.
That's right. We can get to that here in a bit, but yeah, it's called Zoom. It's an app you can download on your phone, or you can just go to the internet, and it was free. I think when it's free, you're limited to a 40-minute meeting, and there were probably 8 other participants in our group that we were able to sit and kind of have a conversation and almost kind of like FaceTime.
It's FaceTime or video chat just with multiple people.
Yeah, it was really nice. And, that technology, we didn't have that 15, 20 years ago.
And you said it proves why at our home groups, why we have childcare. Because over half, probably 2/3, if not 3/4 of the group has young children.
Yeah, it's young adult, which is basically a lot of us are, I would say, mid-late 20s to late 30s, roughly. That's right. Kind of the window. Well, of course, most of us that have kids. Yeah, I had to chase Blair around a little bit. He was good, but I had to kind of dive back and forth between watching the video chat and then trying to see if he was climbing the curtains or anything.
But it seemed like everyone else was doing that too.
Yeah,
like you said.
Yeah, our pastor Dan, he had his almost 4-year-old sneak up behind him with some sort of toy. I think it was like a plastic sword or something. It was pretty funny. And then you see Erica come in and kind of save him, I guess, rescue Dan from, I don't know which one. He has twins.
Oh, I have no idea.
And then
it's probably Hunter. Anything that happens, they say it's usually Hunter.
And then we had other friends. I saw them looking over, and then our friend was holding her 1-year-old. And then I saw some other friends. I heard them like pointing. They'd mute their mic and I'd hear them. They'd be pointing. Because I left my mic muted the whole time unless I had something specific to say, because Blair was just blabbing in the background.
I'm sure they thought it was funny.
It was fun because it was nice to see people that you typically see once a week, and I hadn't been to church. Well,
I don't think we've not seen him since we did that escape room, and that was the 8th. So it's been 2 weeks. And we're used to seeing them once a week.
Yeah, and I hadn't been to church because I guess I was sick one time, and then we went to Dayton one Sunday. So yeah, it's some people I hadn't seen for a while. And, Facebook has been... I'm usually not real active on Facebook other than promoting the podcast, but I've found myself more involved in like group chats or group text.
Well, I think you've been reaching out to a lot of people, just seeing how they are. How everybody's doing. People
I haven't talked to for a while, or people I regularly talk to, just touch in or check in and see how you guys doing? Do you need anything? What are you guys doing for entertainment? Because I don't feel like our lives have been affected really too much overall.
No, and that's what I've told people. We've just been slightly inconvenienced compared to other people.
I mean, we
You
had
know,
we had plans to take Blair to Sesame Street Live on Saturday. That was going to be a lot of fun for him, and
yeah, that got canceled.
had obviously got postponed. And then the other one was our
But at least he didn't know about it.
yeah. If he was like 4 or 5 and was
Had been looking forward to it
and
forever.
I'm sure a lot of kids were. That would be a tough conversation to have. And then our half marathon, which we've talked about briefly, that we were supposed to run April 25th in Columbus, that's postponed. Luckily postponed.
Right, yeah, not just
A
canceled.
lot of races are either getting canceled or they're wanting to do a virtual race, which I think that means you basically run the distance and you submit your picture, your time, and then they send you your shirt or whatever. I don't know.
We're still running 13 miles on April 25th.
April 25th, come hell or high water, I plan on running.
Yeah, so the Y's closed. He's not doing his speech therapy anymore because he's doing that at Ball State.
All the libraries are closed.
Libraries are closed. My mom's group's not meeting anymore. So, I mean, they're just minor inconveniences.
Yeah.
Oh, his swim lessons, since the
Yep.
Y's closed, his swim lessons
Swim
got
lessons
canceled.
are okay. We got 2 of them in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But me personally, being a stay-at-home mom, my life's not really changed much. I mean, we don't get to go anywhere like we did because we were pretty on the go for being a stay-at-home duo. But all these people were like, oh, I just have all this time on my hands. I'm going to start a new hobby and I'm going to clean this and that. And I'm sitting here today because this was kind of my first full day at home by myself since all of this really got crazy. And I'm like, I still have a 2-year-old running around that wants my undivided attention all day long. I mean, I really don't have that much more time to do anything than I did before.
Yeah, yours hasn't changed that much.
No, not at all.
Really, right now, my work is still open. We're still going in, so my routine's pretty much the same. I've noticed because I had about a decent little drive to work. A lot less traffic on the highway, for sure. Certain intersections or getting on the interstate, there's hardly anyone out, and it'll be even less when this podcast comes out with
Right.
the actual, I guess, quote unquote lockdown going on.
But I think, so to get back to what we were talking about, because, I mean, people are sick of talking about the virus. But I've always video chatted with my parents a lot since they live 2.5 hours away. My dad's retired. And again, being home all the time, we've talked about this before, it does get lonely. Like, you just kind of want someone to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad's home by himself a lot. So it's very rarely that we go a couple of days without video chatting with them, or at least dad.
I'm sure that will increase when you're not really going many places.
Right. Well, now my mom's home because schools are closed. So, I mean, I've already video chatted with them twice today.
Yeah, absolutely. My mom had a head cold yesterday. She was supposed to watch Blair, couldn't, so we video chatted so they could see him. So that technology and the Facebook Messenger, just the video chat on there, has been huge just for grandparents right now.
Right. Yeah, I'll set up the phone to where it's facing Blair while we eat either breakfast or lunch. So it's like having dad, or I guess Papa, with us while we eat. I do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it makes dad's day.
Oh, for sure. And I find myself on Facebook a lot more, like just like I said, reaching out to people, just kind of touching base with everyone. I think a lot of things have been put into perspective. But
Right. And I used to watch the news a lot. I've not watched it in like a week. I can't do it. I'm tired of hearing about it.
we all know what's going on.
We all know what's going on. If there's something that pertinent, I usually find out from Facebook. I don't know. I can't do it. I'd rather just not have the TV on at all and just listen to music or something.
And I think that's, like I said, we've mentioned a couple of the pros. I think that's the one con or a negative of the social media is the doomsdayers, the experts who copy and paste. That's why you got to be so careful about what you read on there.
What you read and what you share.
I mean, I don't want to ignore the problem. I want to be educated enough to know what I should and shouldn't do, but I don't need it beat in my head. I don't need it put out there all the time, I mean, you get where you start unfollowing people.
Yeah. I think there's a balance right now between the negative and the positive. I mean, I've seen a lot of positive stories, or we've talked about this before, just the two of us. People have jumped into action. I mean, this may not be a world war, but it kind of feels like it. I mean, people are banding together. We're providing meals for our kids that aren't in school that depend on those meals. We have people making face masks for hospitals, and I mean, setting up different locations, becoming something else to help people. We have people donating. I mean, it's not as dire, I guess, as a world war. I guess we're trying to prevent that.
There's an enemy, and I think it's easy for people to come together when there's an enemy.
Mm-hmm.
You had, obviously, in World War II, you had the Nazis. It was easy to get against. This is a virus that we don't know much about, and it's causing serious. So people can be like, "Oh yeah, let's do what we can."
And I think this brings out the best and the worst in people. So I think social media, as far as like Facebook, and I mean, I don't really get on anything else as far as like Instagram or Twitter, but I'm sure it's the same thing. You're gonna have your positive stories and your negative stories, and I guess I just try to focus on the positives.
It's what you seek, because the settings are available on Facebook to unfollow certain things, certain people. You can really, if you really want to seek out positive, and I know there's way more good stories, they're just not covered as much.
And we're going to make a shameless plug right now, because we started a positive news story. Well, I guess a news story Facebook page.
Yeah.
I guess that made sense, did it?
It's a Facebook page where we are posting positive, uplifting stories that we come across, whether on Facebook or just searching different news sites. It's called The Positive Outlet. It's all this. It's just people helping other people, and it's not all related just to the coronavirus situation. I mean,
no,
it might be.
Some of it might be, but a lot of it's not.
And I got, like you, I was tired of the news. I was tired of the negativity on social media. So I was like, you know what? This doesn't take that much time to come across a story, hit copy, go to the page, hit paste, and maybe someone will get something out of it. Maybe someone will see a story they really like, or maybe it'll inspire them a little bit. Oh, hey, they're like you said, sewing masks or doing whatever. Maybe I could do that, or maybe there's something in my community I could do. So I just hope people hit that like button.
And follow.
It's just short articles that we come across, and I actually put a song up this morning. Started a little music, Zach Williams music in the morning.
It always puts me in a good mood.
That's he's great. Check Zach Williams out. Shameless plug for a guy I don't know.
So what's next on our notes over there?
Well, I think the technology we've talked about, but it's so much of it is how people choose to use it.
When I know you and I both have smartphones now, and I do know I am on my phone a lot more. I know that. I like to scroll through. I would either scroll through Facebook on the desktop, or I'd scroll through it on my phone. Either way.
You can check your hours on your phone.
Yes, I know. I'm not going to do that because I'd be probably disgusted by it.
If that's something, if you want to put your phone use in perspective, I think it's somewhere in settings. Depends if you have an iPhone or an Android. It'll tell you, and typically it'll tell you by app.
I know.
And I think all this technology is great. The social media is great, but I think you still need to take that time to put the phone down, have a conversation, eat dinner,
right?
Whatever it might be.
Because I will tell you what I like about having a smartphone, and then I will tell you what annoys me about having a smartphone. Okay, what I like is I do like being able to get my emails, because if I go somewhere and I'm not on their Wi-Fi or anything, because remember when I wasn't on my parents' Wi-Fi forever, I mean, I never got my emails, especially running a business now. I like to be able to know if someone emailed me about a session or something.
Quick response is important.
Right. So I like that. I like being able to have my emails. I like Google Maps. I mean, if I'm somewhere, unexpectedly and I need to get somewhere else, okay, just Google Map it.
It's a great tool.
Right. If I need to look up a business's phone number, if I'm out and about, that's nice. Or their address. I like to be able to look that up. What else do I use it for a lot?
You're on Facebook a lot.
I know, Jake. Gosh.
You send me memes all the time.
Yeah, I'm trying to spread positivity.
You do send positive memes. I'll give you that.
Right. Like, I'm not sending you negative stuff.
And that's one thing that came from this whole situation. There are some funny, creative people out there. Some
If
of them
people could just channel their creativity into other things, like, we would solve all the world's problems.
There are some funny videos. There are some hilarious memes. I think the one you sent me was that I literally laughed out loud.
Well, you laughed out loud at something I said.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. I mean, it's really funny, but it was just so simple. It was like, has anyone told the Amish what's going on?
Oh, yeah. Has anyone told them what's going on yet?
I'm sure they know because they do work pretty close to our society. But I don't know. It just struck me as funny. But
see, and that's just like what I tell people about Facebook. I really could care less what everyone else is doing or up to. I just like to find the memes and the funny videos.
If you can pick your phone up and get a laugh.
Right.
Or see something that's like, oh, that's really, it's really generous, or that's a really good idea, or something like that. Yeah, I think that's a good thing.
I'm trying to think what else I really use my phone. I mean, I guess I take pictures a lot or video, which, I mean, you can do that on a phone, non-smartphone.
The quality's not near as good.
Right. I don't know. That's kind of it. I mean, I feel like I told you I had to like delete a few apps just to get that one Marco Polo app. That's how, but I only have probably 12 apps on my phone.
We have an older,
I know, but it's only
not high-end phone. I'll put it that way.
It's only a year old. I guess it's not high end. They always bring my phone out of the back at the Sprint store. I don't buy.
It doesn't have a box.
I don't buy anything off the floor.
It doesn't have a box.
I don't buy anything.
Someone traded it in 2 weeks ago.
I don't buy anything off the display floor. Those are too expensive.
They are handy to have. And I'm one of those people, if it's kind of something trivial, like I can't remember who won a certain game or like a year or who was in a certain movie or who sang a certain song, it drives me crazy.
So you just look it up really quick.
Like 15 years ago or 10 years ago, I had like wait till I got home and then Google it, or probably back then it was Ask Jeeves.
So here, I'll tell you what my apps are. This is how little apps I have. I mean, there's people that probably have hundreds of apps on their phone. I don't even know how they find the app that they're looking for. Okay, so I have Messenger, which that's what we video chat on.
Facebook Messenger.
I have a weather app. I have the Stitcher app. That's what I listen to.
Your podcast always
on.
important.
I have the My Bar app for when I want to
Bartending.
make cocktails. Pandora, the Ibotta app, which that's where you get rebates back for buying certain things. Map My Run, and then that new Marco Polo app that I downloaded. But I had to delete a few just to be able to get that one because it uses so much. That's how little apps I have. So I have, 8?
But at least they're useful. You see
Right.
some people's phones, they got 100 apps on there. And
Well, they have like different stores apps and like restaurants apps, games. And the only ones I deleted in order to get Marco Polo was the daily devotional, which we have the book for that instead.
it's the Blackaby.
I deleted Pampers Club because their rewards program is not good anyways. That might have been the only 2 that I deleted. So originally I had 10 apps.
Let's see.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't use my phone a ton.
Other than the standard, like, calculator, camera, all that.
Oh, yeah, I don't count those.
Obviously, Messenger, email, text, maps.
I feel like those come standard.
Yeah. I get this very, very similar. Pandora, Map My Run. I do have... It's called Enliven. It's like an inspirational saying every morning. And I also have inspiring... What's it called? It's called, I think it's just inspiring. It's a Bible verse. It's a daily Bible verse.
There's people that like, oh, you need to download this app, or for this store, download. I'm like, I don't have room on my phone.
We don't shop at that many different stores.
No. So that's I guess my pros of my phone that I like about it. So the cons, I do feel like it does I feel like you can get addicted to it. I mean, I'm constantly, but I think I check it because you and I are almost in constant contact all day. So I'm checking to see if you've messaged me or if I have an email. I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really addicted to it. Like, oh, I have to see what's on Instagram, or I have to see the latest Twitter.
Yeah, and you might be on it quite a bit, but when we sit down at dinner, there's no phones on the table.
Right, and I feel like people don't adhere to those kind of rules, and I feel like that can cause issues in relationships, not just
it
husband
takes
and
away
wife.
from communication, which is to me one
Right.
of the most important things in a marriage is communication.
We've always had this rule. Granted, we used to sit in front of the TV and watch dinner before we had Blair, but you and I, could still talk too. But ever since we've had Blair and we've eaten at the table, we don't have our phones. We may be playing music on our phones, but that's it. And I think kids pick up on that too. He knows that we're not just sitting there like texting or looking on Facebook or something. I mean, they pick up on that from a very young age.
It kills me when you go to a restaurant, and I know we don't eat out very often, but that's kind of a special time for us because it's kind of a date night, or even if we take Blair, and you see a family of 5 and they're all 5 on a phone. I'm like,
Including the kids.
it's just like,
And I was like, why did you come out to eat? Like, why don't you just go sit at home and you guys can all be on your phones? Or the people that shove a phone in their kid's face so they can eat in peace. I'm like, well, why don't you just do that at home?
right.
Or, God forbid, you give them like a coloring book or a game or something. I mean, what did we do when we were kids and we went out to eat? I mean, it's almost like parents are like, well, what do you expect them to do? We can only eat in peace if they have the phone in front of them. Well, no, that's not true.
Well, we we went to Dayton and met your family up for your dad's birthday, and Blair, you guys wanted to converse, and the food took a little long. Whatever, it wasn't a big deal.
Blair got his first, and so he was already done eating.
And it was crowded, but I just took him outside. It was a decent day, and they had like a kind of a fenced-off area picnic, or not picnic, but like an outdoor eating area, and we just played.
Right, but a lot of people were like, oh, here's a phone. Just stare at that for the next hour.
Yeah, I mean, and it was.
And kids become entitled. They feel entitled to that. You do it once or twice, they're going to expect it.
Well, look how addicted we can become to the phone. And then you give a kid a game. I mean, they're going to...
And I try not to be on it in front of him. If I am, it's because I'm like messaging. I'm either texting somebody or messaging you.
Yeah.
I'm not just sitting there like
Scrolling through
Facebook when he's trying to play with me. I'll make a confession. There. Why are you looking at me like that?
I just...
So Blair watches Sesame Street. You know this, but Blair watches Sesame Street every day before nap. That's kind of his like wind down time. And it transitions into nap very nicely. So because he's not like running around and, oh, hey, by the way, we're gonna go take a nap now. Anyways, so he'll sit in his little fox chair and it's in front of the couch and he's watching it. And there are times I will sit on the couch and I'll like put my legs up and I'll be on my phone so he can't see me.
Why don't you want to watch Sesame Street as well?
Because I've already seen those episodes like a billion times.
You get, one new, quote unquote,
one new episode a week.
A lot of times it's
and he watches it 7 days a week.
Yeah, a lot of times it's a rerun.
So yes, that's my confession. I'll sit there to where he can't see me and I will, be on my phone. But he can't see me do it. And anytime he looks back at me to make sure I'm watching, he thinks that I'm watching.
Yeah, for me, the one I've really enjoyed since we've been running a lot, and also training for the half marathon is the Map My Run app.
Oh yeah, I don't.
Because
how did people train for half marathons before that?
They ran until they were bored.
Right, or you'd have to map it for how. And let's all just take a second. How did we do anything before like the 90s? Like the internet came out.
Things were slower.
Slower.
If someone didn't respond to a phone call or on the answer machine in the first 5 minutes, people didn't freak out.
Right. Yeah, we had answering machines. You had to look at maps.
I was really good with map.
How did you... So people train... Granted, I feel like half marathons and marathons have just gotten big and they kind of like last 20, 25 years.
I don't think a lot of recreational people like us went out and ran half marathons.
No.
You were either probably a college or high school runner.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think about it all the time. I'm like, what did what did people do before a lot of this stuff?
But the Map My Run app is fantastic. You just hit the start button. It tracks the miles, the pace, and it's audio.
It talks to you, yeah.
So I can listen to my podcast on my phone with my earbuds in while I'm running. And every time I hit a mile, it tells me how far I've went, what my current pace is, and what my overall pace is, which is really nice when you're running trying to keep a good time. Obviously, maps is handy if you're out somewhere, like you said, looking up information. Other than that, I don't think I'm on my phone a ton.
No. Another thing I came up with social media, like small businesses. It seems like in today's world, you don't know a lot about. Just so take my photography business, for instance. I don't have a studio. I don't really advertise aside from
not paid advertising.
Right, on social media. No one would really know, I guess, aside from word of mouth.
You'd have to knock on doors.
Right. But now I can just put stuff out on social media and people like it and follow it and contact me, share it.
Oh yeah, it's huge for small businesses, and people can start a business now. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars for a website now. Now, granted, once you get the money to it, it is beneficial, but you don't have to start there. And it doesn't matter if you're in the carpentry, like woodworking, photography, services you offer. I mean, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, get some people sharing it. You can really spread your name out there really fast. Huge for small businesses.
But I think I saw in your notes you have some cons of social media related to...
The one con I have on the phone, and I don't want to sound better than anyone, but I really don't do, is driving with my phone. Typically, it is always sitting in the seat or the console. I rarely pick up the phone when I'm driving. That's the one, but you see people all the time, though.
Yeah, if I do, it's to like pull up another podcast or pull up another song
and
or
it's
something.
On a county road, I can slow down. There's no one around me.
Right. I'm not like actually texting someone. Or
it's one thing
that.
like to have the phone and be talking on the phone, kind of like it's just you're just cruising down a county road. I'm okay with that, but if you're texting, looking up something on Facebook while you're driving, that's
I don't get on Facebook when I drive.
That's sketchy.
Right. And not when I have my son in the back seat.
Right. Shouldn't matter.
No. I think we've talked about this a lot too. I feel like kids nowadays, they've always had social media. They don't know a world without it.
We were the last generation not to have social media. I mean, I didn't get Facebook till 2005. I was a sophomore in college.
Well, yeah, I wasn't even invented until 2003. But kids, and I've seen this a lot in my former profession, working in schools. It's like they don't understand this stuff that they post or they send. Even if you delete it, it doesn't go away. Like it leaves a footprint. And they don't, but they still continue to do it. And you just want to like shake them. Like, why are you doing this?
I think, like I said, I got Facebook as a sophomore in college. By that point, I was relatively mature, knew to think ahead and think before you hit the send or post button. But I probably said dumb things when I was 15, 16 years old. But it's one thing to say something dumb, like our generation would have done. One, there's no record of it. Typically, hey, I said something dumb. I'm sorry. I messed up, whatever.
Right. And it's just between you and the other person.
But if you put it out there and it gets distributed and people see it, people save it, it doesn't go away. I mean, it's hard to come back from that.
And there's college recruiters or coaches or employers. I mean, they look at your social media. And even if you have a private profile, there's a way to get around that.
There's a way around everything with that.
And these kids sending nude pictures to people. And I don't know. I just want to like get in their minds, like, why are you doing this? Like if a guy is asking you to send them a nude picture, they obviously don't respect you. And don't believe for 1 second that he's not going to show his friends.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of teenagers, probably us included, you don't think about consequences.
No.
For us, it was something you might say or maybe go do, but it's really nothing too major. But when you post it, when it's in writing and it's permanent, it takes a minor mistake and makes it even bigger.
Right. And I don't know if kids aren't being taught any of this. I mean, I remember my dad, because when I was, seventh, eighth grade, AIM was getting really big. And I remember him saying, Jill, don't talk to anybody you don't know. Even if you think you know them, don't give out our address. Don't give out. I mean, that's just,
It was a
like,
conversation you had.
are they not being taught those things, or do they just don't care?
Probably both. I'm sure there are things my parents told me not to do as a teenager. I did.
Oh, everybody does.
Well, but you take that same mentality and then you put technology with it, and that's
Right.
going to produce.
I mean, I was kind of mature for my age, but I just remember like thinking, him telling me those things, because he's like, you don't know who you're talking to sometimes. It could just be some old man that if you give him your address, like he may come and hurt you.
Right.
And I mean, that scared me. That scared me enough to not do what he was telling me not to do.
Yeah, it gave Chris Hansen a career. Remember the Dateline guy?
Yes. They should bring that show back.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a prime example though of what it can lead to. And I think another thing it leads to are these people who are not satisfied with their own lives, on there trying to take down other people in the comment section. You see it on YouTube videos, and those people leaving those comments are not happy with their life.
They're trolls, as people call them.
As Joe Rogan would say, you think Michael Jordan's sitting there leaving YouTube comments on people? No.
You never know.
You think some of these super successful people are like, oh, they said this about me on YouTube? Like, I'm so upset. No. But that being anonymous, you can say things you would never say in front of someone.
Right. You would never say that to their face.
And get away with it. And if you give a response, it makes it even worse.
Right.
Because they know they got at you. That's all they're wanting to do.
Well, and that brings up the topic of cyberbullying, which again is something I had to deal with in my job. And back when we were kids, or back in the 80s, if you got bullied, it was just at school.
Yeah,
you left it at school. Now you can get bullied at school, in person or through your phone, and then it carries on into home. And I've heard people say, sometimes I have this mentality too, but it shouldn't be this way. Well, why do you get on that app if that's what people are saying? Or why are you on Facebook if people are saying that to you? But to me, that person has every right to be on that app just as much as you are. So it just, I don't know, I see it both ways. Yeah. I guess if I didn't want to see those things being said about me, like, why subject myself to that? But again, I would have the same right to be on that app as anybody else.
Yep.
And I should be able to be on that app and not be subjected to that.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, and I think it's one of those things in our society now, and obviously it's not going to go anywhere, that there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad. It's how you, one, use it yourself, and I think how you communicate to your child. Obviously, kids are getting it at a younger and younger age, but, showing them the direct effects of what they can say, what they post, who they talk to. It's another element of parenting that our parents didn't have to worry about 20 years ago, or when they were kids.
Right.
I think it came about so fast. I mean, 2005 was not that long ago when you think of the big scheme of things. No one had heard of Facebook. No one, and when Facebook, first of all, when Facebook started, I'm going a little rant here. It was for college kids. It was simply for college kids to stay in touch with their college friends who went to other schools or didn't go away to school, and we could all communicate.
I thought it was weird when people that weren't in college started getting Facebook.
When I got friend requests from people who are like in their 50s, I'm like, what are you doing on Facebook? This is supposed to be for college kids, and who knew? I mean,
I remember it was the summer before I went to college, and someone had been to their college orientation, and they were talking about Facebook, and so they were trying to explain it to me, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, what's the point? Because they're like, yeah, you have your profile and like everybody has their picture and like you can just like keep in touch. I'm like, what's the point? Like, I don't understand.
I think the first reason or the main reason I got it, because at the time I was still in music, but going to a lot of concerts, a lot of bands had Facebook pages. They announced their tours or if they had new music coming out. So I would like follow all these bands. Because when they started using it, I was like, oh, this is kind of neat.
Yeah.
And then it just, and everybody got on Facebook. And it used to be so simple. It was just like a post and like a picture. That's it. No ads.
Well, I remember I had Facebook for 2 months before you could even add pictures to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very, very simple.
I wish someone, you know, if anybody's close friends with Mark Zuckerberg here.
I see some screenshots from the first.
But yeah, I would just like to see a progression of what Facebook has looked like over the years. Because I tell you, every time I get on Facebook and there's a new update, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't like this new update.
You don't know where anything's
I don't know
at.
where anything's at. It looks weird. I feel like they've kind of slowed it down the last few years, but
There was a span of like 4 years. It changed every day.
it changed like drastically too. And I would log on and I'm like, what is this? I don't know what this is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to see a progression of what it's looked like over the years.
And I resisted the smartphone until 2015, 2016.
It was 2016. We've only had these for 4 years.
Because my work at the time, I moved into a new role where I had to be accessible more. So I got a company phone. So, because I really didn't want one. Because I know a lot of times companies will, you get emails at night and stuff like that. I was still rocking the flip phone in 2015, which was, I don't know. If it wasn't for the podcast, your photography business, which I promote, it would be tempting to go back.
To go back to the flip
It
phone?
would be.
Okay.
I don't think I ever will, but it'd be tempting. But no, technology, it's just the evolution of it over the last 15 years with Facebook and Instagram and all the video sites. I mean, it can be very, very useful. I really think we've seen how important it can be to us when we can't physically get together with people. We can video chat.
'Cause we're not meant to be in isolation.
We can, if you can share. I've been trying to share more memes. Or last night I was watching marble racing on ESPN the Ocho, and I'm like, is anyone else watching this? I put that out there. Just maybe someone will get a laugh out of it. If I can just post something and someone smiles or laughs, if you can just approach social media that way and not dive into the rabbit holes of conspiracies and doomsday and all that stuff, I think it's a great, great thing for us.
And I just want to challenge people right now. I know it's hard being cooped up and self-quarantining. Is that right?
Self-quarantined, something like that.
Sure, but that makes it sound like you were exposed and maybe you weren't.
On lockdown.
Lockdown, sure. We're all on lockdown. I've been trying to rack my brain to come up with ways on how to help, but not really expose myself or anyone else. Because I know it's hard during this time because you shouldn't be in physical contact with anybody. We did something last Sunday because we did not have church. We took Blair out to a local bakery and we had some donuts for ourselves.
This is when restaurants were still open.
This was when restaurants were still open. A week ago. Seems like a lifetime ago. We got, donuts for ourselves for breakfast. And then I ordered a dozen donuts and we took them to the local ER here. That was the only portion of the hospital that was open anyways. And I didn't expose anybody. I literally just dropped them off with the one security person up front. They've taken a lot of precautions to make sure anybody coming in, you'd have to go through 2 sets of double doors to even get in. And they have like a hand sanitizer station right there. So I was just able to drop them off with the security guard right there. And I just told her what I was doing. And she's like, oh, it's so appreciated. We have a lot of people working overtime right now. And they are. I mean, they're so short staffed. I mean, go to your local. I'm not trying to encourage people to go out of their homes though. So that's what I'm saying. If you have ideas on what you could do and not be in physical contact.
There, I know a lot of people are going to be doing spring cleaning and purging. If you get a bag of clothes that you want to donate, a lot of those places have drop boxes. A lot of them
Right.
will come out to your vehicle and get the bag for you. You don't even have to get out.
Yeah, I know our Muncie mission. I mean, local shelters are still open. All you gotta do is drive up during their drop off hours, and they'll come get it out of your car. That's
Yep.
it. We planning. We are playing this one. Not your father's root beer.
You had
is
one drink.
kicking in.
It was a lot more sober last podcast by myself. No,
Anyways,
I know what you're saying. There are a lot of small things you can do. With all these restaurants doing delivery, you could send lunch to someone.
right.
You could
Or to a business that isn't shut down.
then you're helping people there and the restaurant.
I'm planning. I mean, we don't need a lot of things, so I'm trying to wait a few days for this shutdown chaos to kind of subside for me to go to the store. I am planning on picking up a few items for the Animal Protection League. That's the shelter that we've talked about on podcast before, where we got Louie from. I'm going to pick up some things. We're going to go drop it off. Just drop it off at the front door. I mean, we're not coming into contact with anybody, and we'll just go for a drive. It's a little bit of a drive to get there. I'm sure by maybe Saturday we'll want to go somewhere and just take Blair for a drive, and we can drop that stuff off.
There's a lot of little things like that you don't have to expose yourself. Doesn't cost too much money. Just check in on a neighbor. Get someone a phone instead of just messaging someone. Call someone you haven't talked to in a few months.
Right.
Just little things like that can really help.
We have some elderly neighbors that live a couple houses down from us. They got to be in their 80s.
Which we see a car in and out of their lot, so we do know
Right.
they're getting what they need.
But I'm planning on just dropping off a few items on their porch. I don't want to knock their door and have them open it and, oh, here I am. I'm, exposing you. I'm just going to, drop off some toilet paper or some soup, soap, hand sanitizer. I mean, just try to think of little ways you can still help but not put anybody at risk.
That's the key, is doing it the smart way.
Right. And once this is all over, we need to continue doing those things, but you can just do them a lot better.
Yeah. Overall, I think we're seeing the way our society can come together. And I've said this before. When things are easy, like they were, say, the last few years, economy's good. I mean, I know we still have the war in the Middle East, but overall, things are pretty easy.
Things are good for us here.
That's when you bicker with each other. That's when you have fights over stupid things like bathrooms and
Pronouns.
all that stuff. That's all gone out the window now. Now we have a situation where it's like, okay, all hands on deck.
How are we going to feed our kids?
All hands on deck, and look what happens.
Right.
People come together.
Oh, and something I saw on Facebook. If you like to sew, Joanne Fabrics, I think all you got to do is call them to make sure they have on hand what you would need. But they have pre-cut face masks and supplied the elastic, and I think all you have to do is sew them. So you just show up, they'll bring it all out to your car, you go home and sew them, and you bring them back, and then they'll send them to the hospitals. I'm like, okay, so like any lady over the age of like 50 that knows how to sew, here you go. Here's a project. Here's how you can help, and you don't have to put anybody at risk.
Or any woman who can sew. Or man, you don't have to be so judgmental.
That's true. My dad does know how to sew. Maybe, I don't know if he knows how to sew on a sewing machine, but he does know how to sew on a button.
I bet he could.
I don't know how to do any of those.
I bet he could.
Okay, so if you're a man that knows how to sew, props to you. And if you're any age women,
There you go.
you can sew, and props to you. Props to you, because that's more than I can do.
Yeah. But yeah, there's so much you can do. And even if you're just, at home, like I said, check on someone, video chat someone, post something positive, even if it's just a funny meme, because there's a bunch of them out there. Make the best of it. This is our situation now, and through technology and social media, we can help each other.
Right. And there was a post I saw. We can end with this. There was a post I saw, and this really resonated with me in our society today. And it said, "Our grandparents were called to war. You're being called to sit on your couch. You can do this."
Yeah, it's not that hard.
No.
And I really think when people are forced to do it, they'll see some benefits of spending more time at home, maybe a new hobby, cleaning that closet you've been wanting to clean out, spend more time with your family, whatever it might be. Like, oh, okay, this isn't so bad.
Right, and just slowing down. We've talked about this before. I feel like people look at it as like a status symbol of how busy they are.
I like being busy, but just doing the things I want to do, not what I'm forced to do.
Okay.
Busy as far as, okay, I'm going fishing Saturday morning, and then that night we're going to have a bonfire.
Don't make it sound like I force you to do things.
You do. You typically plan some of our weekends. I don't. This is another podcast. Let's end on a positive note here.
Yes, okay.
Go out, spread cheer, spread positive news. If you're looking for a Facebook page, The Positive Outlet, and just, help someone out. It can be the smallest little gesture might make someone's day. So, Jill, cheers.
What was my name?
Jill. Cheers.
Cheers. Make it a great day.